Hi, and welcome to Concussion Talk Podcast. My name is Nick Mercer. You can find my podcast and my blog posts at www.concussiontalk.com. I have also written an ebook about cycling, my brain injury, rehab, and life after, which you can find on any right side of any of my Concussion Talk pages. I began writing on my website in 2010. I began podcasting in July of 2015. This is my fourth podcast. In it, I will talk with Justin Murphy and Matt Eagles of Concussion U. Concussion U is an interest group co-founded by Matt, Justin, and three other medical students from Memorial University of Newfoundland. I will let Matt and Justin talk more about Concussion U, its goals, and Matt and Justin's own interest in concussions. Okay, I'm talking with Justin Murphy of Concussion U. I was supposed to talk to Matt Eagles and Justin Murphy, but Matt is on call and is very busy, so Justin will do the whole chat. So, Justin, I'll let you tell people who you are, what your group is, what they do, what you hope to do with the group. So, go ahead.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot, Nick, for having me. I think it's such an honor, and like we said before we started recording, that I think what you're doing is amazing. So, and thanks for having me. So, my name is Justin Murphy. I'm one of the founding members of Concussion U, and the other four members unfortunately couldn't be here, and one of them, Matt, was supposed to be here, but of course he's such a rock star, so I couldn't expect him to be in everywhere at one place at one time. But anyway, so just a plug for all of them: Matt Eagles, Maria Powell, Graham Campbell, and David Bradbury Squires are the other four members. So we are Concussion U, and essentially what we are is a special interest group that started at MUN during our first year of medicine. We're now all in our third year. But when we started at MUN, we were fortunate enough to, in some respects, fortunate enough to start in a new curriculum where we had to do some research during our studies. So they called it special projects. So Matt came up with this brilliant idea of doing a special project regarding concussions. So essentially what he wanted to do is spread the word out, get the message across to the masses, obviously starting in Newfoundland and seeing how we can spread out across the country. But essentially that was getting a group of us together. I was lucky to join this group. I think I was the last member in here. Wasn't sure what I was going to be doing for my special project, but when I found out that they were doing this and Matt approached me and got me on board, I thought it was fantastic. We all have our own special backgrounds, but he said I'd be a perfect fit coming from having an athletic therapy background and working with a lot of athletes, both professional and amateur. It kind of worked out great that I had a little bit of experience, both with myself, but working with other athletes too. And the group was to get to develop a kind of a presentation that we can kind of deliver out to the public and make them more aware of what concussions are and how to treat and manage them appropriately.
Oh, great! That's awesome. So, you're all med students, and you're all in what year of med school are you at? Sorry.
Yeah, no, so we're all in our third year now. So we started this back in first year, and it kept the wheels kept turning. We kept building up on it every semester. We had to do another component to the special project, and as I mentioned before, so our goal was to be able to deliver a message, out to the public. So part of that special project was kind of designing, so actually testing to see if that presentation that we were going to deliver was effective at all. So we as a part of our project, we did some research we recruited 4 hockey teams, and what we did first was to test their knowledge and attitudes regarding concussions, and then we gave them a presentation that we developed. And then right after the presentation, we gave that same quiz to see if that presentation was able or effective at increasing knowledge and attitudes in these hockey players. And then we did it again at the end of the season just to see a long-term effect of the actual presentation. So we were happy to get all that data, and we got some great results to show that the presentation that we kind of put together is effective. So I guess the next step would be bringing it out and doing it in with other community groups and athletic groups across St. John's and Newfoundland.
Cool. That's awesome. So, you said you're an athletic therapist, athletic trainer, athletic therapist. Is there a difference or?
Yeah, well, essentially what they do is exactly the same. It's just semantics, I guess, from the Americans versus the Canadians. In Canada, it's athletic therapists, and they're, I guess, um, uh, the big what do you call it? Um,
No.
uh, National board. Sorry,
Okay.
tongue tied here. It's late at night.
Yeah.
So is the Canadian Athletic Therapy Association, but down
Okay.
in the United States, it's the National Athletic Therapy or National Athletic Trainers Association.
Okay.
So it's that athletic trainer in the United States and athletic therapist in Canada.
So you've seen a lot of concussions, other injuries from your time as an athletic trainer, or as an athletic therapist because you're in Canada.
Yeah, no, yeah. I started. So when I went to York University and did an undergrad in kinesiology, and then after I finished that, I finished a certificate in athletic therapy. So I worked with a bunch of varsity athletes in the at York University, so a part of the OUA. So I saw, from women's water polo and men's water polo right up to men's and basketball and football. So, in all sports, you see a lot of injuries, and different sports will have, some injuries that are more predominant in certain, like if, for instance, like in water polo, there's a lot of shoulder injuries and stuff, but we did still see, some head injuries in that. Obviously, you're going to see more in contact sports like football and rugby. But yeah, no, I was able to see. I shouldn't say that it was fortunate to see it, but it certainly put some perspective and gave me some insight into concussions and how devastating they are. But it was, yeah, working with a lot of athletes and saw some unfortunate events and some career-ending injuries for sure.
Wow. So actually, this is a little off-board question here, but you said like all sports and non-contact sports, but like something like cheerleading. I know it's not a sport in any way, but did you ever have to treat cheerleaders or I guess
Uh,
yeah,
I never, not personally, but certainly there was different dance clubs and cheerleader
yeah, that
that
fell
would
on the
come into
head.
the clinic with certain injuries. Now, I
Yeah,
don't know, I can't say for sure if any of them ever had a concussion, but certainly any of the tumblers or the ones being thrown up in the air, if they come down and, kind of jolt or get their head shifted side to side too quickly, you might certainly expect them to sustain a concussion.
yeah. Because when you mentioned that non-contact sports, I was thinking of like cheerleaders get tossed up like 20 feet in the air and just so hopefully someone catches them, but if not,
Yeah.
they're gonna land somewhere bad, like back or
Yeah,
neck
no,
or head. So
absolutely. Well, and that's one of the interesting things too. It's I mean, more recognition is coming out there, and that's kind of one of the things we focused on in our presentation too, was that you don't have to get hit in the head to sustain a concussion.
yeah,
Even just a jolt to the body and your head moving in a certain direction, your brain is going to move inside your skull, and that's the brain hitting the sides or even rotation can cause a concussion. It's essentially just your brain being jarred inside your head there, and so you don't have to be hit in the head. It could be anything,
and
just to hit
another
to the body.
another off-board question, but when you did your kinesiology degree, or I guess you don't know what the MUN curriculum is like, but when you did your undergrad degree at York, was there any talk of concussions or brain injury in your your movement affects your brain or in your
Oh,
undergrad degree? No.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, at York and certainly even at MUN, uh, we we're always learning about like how the brain affects our function, and not just how we think and everything, but the brain is almost like that central control of
Yeah.
everything we do. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's one organ that's more important than any other one, and
Yeah.
how amazing the body is, and how a perfect system it is, and
Yeah.
everything works together. But
Yeah.
certainly, we in any school, like, I've always learned how important the brain is, and that was one thing at York, especially with the athletic therapy program. Uh, we were really big into head injuries, and being always taking them seriously. And even when I remember back when I was going to school there in 2005, I kind of date myself now, but the even before, there was a lot of talk on concussions. I mean, it was certainly out there, but not as much as it was in the public. But we were at York, we were being taught like how important it was, recognition, and really, really tackling it right from the beginning and taking them really seriously.
That's impressive, actually, because it's fairly on, fairly on. Um, how do you find that your presentations and your even just your group in general has been taken by the rest of your med students, or even the undergrad community, the whole community in Mun in general, and the city of St. John's, for that matter?
Yeah, well, we're still actually. It's we've been on a few radio shows too, so I think the recognition of who we are is certainly getting out there, and then social media really helps a lot on Facebook, and everybody's friends and networking that way. So that word's getting spread across amongst our classmates. I think everybody's doing amazing work in all the different special projects. One unique feature about us, and I'm sure a few of the students might also agree with me, is being a part of a team really holds a lot of weight, and makes it a little bit more fun. And certainly doing a project that is long term. I know there's a few students that are going every semester, or every year, changing projects. But certainly for us, being such a cohesive group and having a long term kind of project on the go. I don't want to say that we're the envy at all, because, like I said, everybody's doing amazing work. But it's certainly nice to be part of such a good group, and I'm sure anybody would love to as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, as like I said, as for St. John's and the rest of it, we're still putting that message across. But social media and the news and everywhere, and word of mouth is certainly spreading and helping get our message across.
Yeah, I mean, like, I found it tough getting my message out, but I'm trying to get on Twitter and Facebook and my website. I'm trying to get up more, but I find it hard to connect with a lot of people in town. But hopefully, as time goes on, be more. But so your background is athletic therapist, and the rest of your group is all were they athletic therapists or just sports
No,
players, athletes?
no, I'm the only therapist in the group, but there's certainly all have either sustained concussions, or they're all athletes, and they've all been around it. So and they all bring in like, I can't speak for everybody and all their backgrounds are, but I can say for sure that we all had some experience in head injury and concussions in one way or another. So yeah, we all have that kind of unique presence in the group.
Actually, I was just thinking, you have a prof doctor who is your sponsor for your group, Dr. Maroon.
Yeah, Dr. Maroon.
He's actually the guy who put my head back together after my brain injury
Oh, really?
in 2003. I
Yeah, no,
flew back to St. John's from Victoria, and he put my bone flap back in. Did did a great job, I gotta say.
no, it's
So
certainly, Dr. Maroon. He's a legend here.
yeah, he
So
is. Yes, yes.
no,
So
I actually, it's funny because I remember when I spoke with you earlier about when you were talking about getting this podcast on the go.
yeah,
Uh, it was certainly, I was so intrigued by it and wanted to help out in any way you can.
yeah.
And I think what you're doing now is absolutely phenomenal. Like
Great.
having three podcasts under your belt right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then I guess this would be your fourth.
This is
But
for it.
yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I
Great.
think
Thanks.
it's such an amazing job. I remember when I left there, that speaking with you at Tim Hortons, I was
Yeah.
like, I was really hoping that something was going to get underway, but I wasn't sure how it was going to happen. And every email I got from the new podcast, I think absolutely phenomenal. And you're doing such a great job, man.
Great. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I hope you get this put this out even tomorrow,
Yeah.
if everything goes well. But is there anything you'd like to any where people can find you, reach not you personally, but your group, find your group on the online and Twitter, Facebook, whatever?
Yeah. So, like we said, social media has been such a important part of getting our message across and getting our name out there. But Facebook, certainly, just search Concussion U, and you'll bring up our. Actually, that's I guess I could throw in another plug for another spin-off group that from the Concussion group as a whole. I guess we're kind of known as Concussion Memorial University now, Concussion U Memorial University. And there's actually a Dalhousie group of students from Dalhousie University that's I think they're on concussion or on Facebook. You can look them up too at Dal Concussion U. And then also our Twitter handle is concussion at Concussion U. And then you can search us on the internet on a Google search as Concussion U, or you can look up at www.concussionu.com and find us there as well.
Great. So hopefully we'll get this Concussion U going across the country to
Yeah,
more of his med schools. Is Dal med school or is Dal just a group of
yeah, it's
students?
a Dal Medical School as well.
Okay, okay, cool. Well, yeah, like I said, great. Thanks, and hopefully Matt will be able to join us again next time. Matt or Maria or David or
Graham.
Grant. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Grant.
No,
Sorry, Grant. Sorry, Grant. I haven't met you yet, but
no, that's cool.
hmm,
Like I said, it's great to be able to speak a little bit on behalf of the group, but I certainly am not as articulate as those four, so I can't do justice to uh, speak on how amazing they are and what they know and what they bring to the group. But it's certainly great for me just to talk and you giving me the time just to chat with you. So
next. Yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully they'll be able to get on this. We'll get on the podcast again, or not again, but firstly, soon.
yeah,
So, thanks
well,
thanks so much for talking to me,
yeah, no,
Justin.
thanks, and I hope if you get them back, you'll be able to bring me back as well. So,
Yeah, great. Thanks.
yeah, thanks so much, Nick.
As always, the music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound. www.bensound.com.